Welcome back to the Maximum Cricket Podcast. On today's episode, it's time to take stock of how your team is going in this World Cup by doing a halfway power rankings. The boys will discuss what we like and dislike about the teams. Some teams will be on one more than the other, I can assure you that. And can anyone actually beat this Indian side? And if you stay till the end, we may discuss whether this Indian side is the greatest World Cup team ever.
Oh, that is brilliant. It's a hero maximum. On the ground, down the ground, another hero maximum.
My name is Munter, and we are joined by Lugsy and Jacko as always. Boys, before we kick off on the bottom five teams, the whole World Cup, it's almost at the halfway stage. Give me something you like. Give me something you don't like from the tournament as a whole.
I like how the caps are tracking. That's my biggest takeaway so far. We'll talk that through later in depth, but I like how they're tracking, and I dislike the attendance so far. Just shocking. India's still on the hot seat for me.
Lugsy?
Yeah, two good ones. I think the easiest thing to like is the hitting. Honestly, I think cricket's gone to the level. I sort of liken it to like shooting in basketball, where the level of like shooting in basketball is just so high that sometimes it doesn't matter what the D does. Like the shooting's just got that good. Feels the same with batting sometimes. It's like there's only so much a bowler can do, and like unfortunately these guys are just so strong, big bats. Like they can just hit good balls for six these days. So the batting's just unbelievable at the moment. We've said it all World Cup. I mean, any danger of a few close games. We got a goodie last night, but just a real nail biter would be nice. A last over sort of situation. If we could just get that eventually, that would be great.
Yeah, nice. I had that as what I don't like as well. But what I am enjoying is that you do get the feeling that any team can beat any team except if India are playing. But other than India, there is a sense that on their day, any side can tip up the other side, which I do like. As for what I don't like, I was going to say the close games, but I'm going to say just the fact how we're just accepting the terrible outfield for that. I guess that ground that India and New Zealand played at. They just talk about how they can't dive and the fielders have to be careful. Like, what the fuck is that? What a joke. Yeah, that's me pretty much. Speaking of jokes, let's move on to our bottom five, and let's start with the defending champions, who are maybe putting up one of the worst defences of any trophy of all time here. You could argue that they should be bottom of the table. They're ninth, but let's put them at the bottom for now because of how poor they have been. You could argue they've still got a chance. If they win the next five, they're a chance, and I guess they've got pedigree. They could do that. But you're not going to argue that they're top four material. They've played four. They've been smashed three times, culminating in their heaviest defeat in one-day cricket in terms of runs to South Africa. They've been skittled in two consecutive games, and their bowling has been nothing short of a disgrace. But I think their biggest mistake is the lack of preparation. Between 2015 and 19, England played more one-days than anyone. After 2019, they have played only the sixth most. It's clear ODIs have come an afterthought. Probably to everyone, to be fair. They came in with a heavy all-rounder side with Sam Curran at 8, Chris Woakes at 9, but they both became unplayable because their bowling sucked. So instead of dropping one, they dropped both and replaced them with David Willey and Gus Atkinson, who has played about 3 one-days total. Ben Stokes unretired just to be unfit to bowl and then miss the first 3 games. And then because Harry Brook made runs when they got smoked by Afghanistan, they couldn't drop him. So they dropped Livingston, who had actually been one of their better bowlers. So now they had Willey at 7, who was at 8, and Rashid at 8, who was batting 10. After all that, you would think their bowling would be strengthened. Nope, they conceded 400. To top it off, Topley broke his finger. Root had to bowl 6+ overs, and apparently they flew Jofra Archer over to India just to train with them because he is not available to be selected. So if they have to fly someone out to replace Topley. Boys, it's a shambles. What? Have you got anything you like about England?
I mean, the kit's not even redeeming either, is it? We sort of spoke about that at the very start. So, so on the back foot, and they haven't got off it really. But if you could just tell me what you really think of their squad at the moment, Munter, that'd be good.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I just where it wasn't honest enough, really, Munter there. Just held back a touch, I think. Yeah, I mean, if we were honestly doing this in rankings, I'd probably still have them higher than I should, because I'll still have them well higher all the minnows of like chances. If you're telling me chances to actually make an impact on this World Cup, I'd still have them higher, and that's just based on the fact they're England, and they've got some battings. But yeah, there's not a lot to like, is there? What not to like? The list is getting high. The bowling really stands out as a what not to like. But there's plenty. So yeah, not a lot to like. Sorry.
Is that it then? I guess no. I mean, you got a point. Good point, Simon. That they could like we were bashing Australia and then they're sort of like in contention. And I know like the things are a lot worse for England, but I guess they've got the players like those players. There's some really good players in this team. There's some really poor players and that are out of form, no doubt. And maybe they haven't got their tactics right, but I wouldn't completely rule them out on getting a run. Their next game is against India. If they could turn it on for one game, they'd take some momentum into the rest of the games, and you just never know. So, I don't want to rule them out, but I'd like to.
Yeah, I mean, if they've got to win all their games to make it, and they have India next, I'll rule them out. I mean, and they're not touching India, and I mean, play this back when they knocked them over, but they're not touching India.
Genuine question: if England bat first, what do you reckon they've got to get to make it unchaseable for India? Because I reckon it's well over 400.
Well, India's bowling is just so good at the moment. We'll obviously get to them, but I suppose England's bowling is so shit though. So like it probably does need to be 400.
I mean, I was going to say this maybe when we got to India, but I think there's sort of two ways that India can get beat, and one was sort of the mode we were going through last night, where you put the squeeze on a bit, they start to feel that crowd pressure, and it's sort of, you're just getting a bit of a dogfight with them. And the other's the way probably any team, I guess, can beat them, and that's just a few batters come off, and you make 450 and you win the game. And I think that's England's only chance. A few things go really well, they make 450 and they win a game.
Yeah. Righto. Afghanistan, probably our 10th, but we've got them at 9th at the moment. I'm not really sure what to make of them. They got smashed by India and New Zealand, who are top of the table, so you can't fault them. They got smashed by the Bangers, which was probably the most disappointing result. However, they did comfortably take care of England, which felt like a big deal at the time, but maybe it's not an upset at all. Boys, where are you at with the Afghans? Something you like, something you don't like.
I like the spin bowling from them. I think they've got a genuine quality spin bowling attack. So yeah, when we go to their condition, like they're in conditions that suit, so they're really utilising it. But yeah, I like their spinners. They need some batting help. They need a couple more like genuine sticks. But I mean, we're at their second World Cup now, so. There's some growth to do, and as they sort of get exposed to more cricket, these batters will get better and better. But from a bowling perspective, especially spin, I think they're holding their own with some of the bigger countries in the world, as we saw with that one against England.
Yeah, I think that is their strength. I guess I like there's enough young guys there in the side. I think that's what that's their biggest thing they can hopefully work on and like keep developing young players, so that in sort of maybe not the next World Cup, but even the one after, they can start to actually, push a few of the bigger sides. Just their talent pool obviously is just too small at the moment. It's, they're just not going to compete. With this tournament, you're having to play everyone. They're just not going to consistently compete with the big teams because their talent pool is just not big enough. So, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think what I like about Afghanistan is probably everything that they did in that England game, where especially at the start, where they they come at sides, the bigger sides. They don't really care about the team's pedigree. They'll go at that. So they'll go at them, and they can compete with bat and ball on their day. I guess what's sort of holding them back is the very next game against New Zealand. As good as New Zealand were, Afghanistan were terrible with ball, particularly in the field. Like, they just didn't turn up. They looked hungover as fuck, to be honest. So I think for them to go to the next level, they're going to have to find a way to be more consistent. Bangladesh, look, this is ironic coming from a Kiwi, because it took us 26 years to win our first test. However, when is Bangladesh going to become a half-decent cricket side? They have been a full member nation for 23 years. What do you think their best ever one-day ranking is?
8.
It's not 8. It's actually 6. It's actually 6, but their highest test ranking is their highest test ranking ever is 8.
So the time when that was a very standard sort of 1-2 ranking for that Kiwis.
Yeah, there was a lot of bashing Bangladeshis, but I mean, they looked really good in that first game against the Afghans, but like since then they've just been disappointing, and I look at this side and I just feel like they just haven't really improved considering how long they've been in top flight cricket.
I think what's a bit frustrating or concerning is it felt like they were as well a few years back. They were sort of starting to get a bit of an improvement. It feels like it's gone backwards a bit, which is sort of what you don't want. I guess they are still, you still favour them to take care of the minnow. So I think they've got out of that sort of phase. But you still sort of favour them to comfortably sort of get beaten by most of the big sides. So they haven't really bridged that gap at all.
Yeah, they just never flesh out, do they? Like, they've sort of got their like 3 or 4 guys that are genuinely like top level international players. They've got the Fizz, they've got Shakib Al Hassan. They've always got 1 or 2 guys that are genuine sort of world beaters, but they just haven't been able to figure out how to flesh it out around them. So I wonder if that's they've had some really good results at home. So is that an association thing? Is that on the country for not, exposing guys at the lower levels to more cricket to develop sort of that next group of skill players? So they're probably like, where Afghanistan want to be at the next World Cup, but then kick on, and they just never have. So they've got those 3 or 4 really world-class players, but just not enough helping them. And in cricket, you need that to, push into that top 5 sort of sides in the world at any given time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a few more games to go, and I suppose if they can take care of the other minnows, I just look at their side and I think they should be doing better. The Netherlands, everyone's second favourite team, I think, is next. They've only won 1 game, but it feels like they've been in almost all these games. They made Pakistan, New Zealand, and Sri Lanka really work for their wins, and then they knocked off a red hot South Africa pretty comfortably themselves. What I'm liking the most about this Netherlands side is they're a fighting team. And I know, we'll touch on this in worst take, but they are competing with the bat. They don't get rolled. They'll get themselves to a score if they're in a bit of trouble. And their bowling attack is very good as a pack. Like, they don't really get smashed, if you know what I mean. Like, they look like they've got plans for most players. But I guess what's sort of holding them back is probably top order talent. I think the reality is they're not getting the bulk runs from like the bigger nations are. That's probably going to hold them back from getting those bigger scores. They'll scratch and claw and get something on the board. But to win more games, they need more runs, basically. Where are you guys at with the Dutch?
Yeah, they're probably the reverse of like your Bangladesh and your Afghanistan, I think. Like, they don't have, 2 to three world-class players, but they've got 9 to 10 guys who are, fairly handy, fairly decent international cricketers. So that they're definitely getting more. The sum of their parts is sort of greater than any one player, so that they're actually getting a lot more out of themselves. So in terms of like a minnow, that they're probably what you want is a group of guys who are actually getting more out of themselves than they normally would. So you summed it up. They're probably two batters and a genuine game breaking bowler away, whether that be spin or pace, from sort of really pushing more teams hard, as we saw that they sort of not smoke, but beat South Africa. So when it all clicks, they can go together. But to be consistently good, they do probably need one or two of those top level batters.
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about them is they haven't beaten themselves, which is all you can ask from the small sides. Like if you're competing, trying to give yourself the best chance, and they've got into a few rough spots and sort of dug themselves out a wee bit and got themselves a total, and their bowlers have all done the job. That's what I like about them. They don't beat themselves. They actually fight hard as well. They give themselves every chance, and I just love their fizz. Like they look like they're actually just having a great time at the World Cup. Even their guys just associated with the team, like management and that, they all look like they're just buzzing at this World Cup. So, I've enjoyed watching them. They're having a great time.
Thoroughly deserve their place for sure. Sri Lanka at 6, I sort of expect a little bit more from Sri Lanka. They put away Netherlands, which they probably should. Close-ish game. But they have lost 3 games to South Africa, Australia, and Pakistan. 3rd, 4th, and 5th place team in the comp. I don't really know what to make of them. I feel like they've just performed to expectations so far. They've lost to 3 teams probably ranked higher than them, and they've beaten a team ranked below them. Their bowlers have been absolutely smashed. I think that's probably the big miss. Their batters have been pretty good. I'd say that's probably, Muniz is a bit of a star. They've got some guys making runs, but I just think they're just not taking wickets, and that's what's holding them back.
Yeah, and to be fair, they've actually come a decent way to end up ranked 6. I mean, they were sort of trying to play their way into this World Cup at one stage. So there was a time where they were sort of staring down the barrel and looking at that sort of West Indies sort of black mark as a result. But yeah, they're lacking a game breaker, aren't they? With the ball, they probably thought they might have some with the spinners they've got. They're probably sort of getting under performances in that category, but yeah, they're lacking that sort of Malinga or that real game breaking quick, which they've actually been able to produce sort of a few times throughout their history. So. They're a quick away, I think, for me.
Yeah, their new Malinga sort of goes the journey, unfortunately. They might need to sign to upgrade that again. They've been a bit disappointing for me, or it's been a bit disappointing to see them lose these games because I think they're not too far away. Mendes has been brilliant, as you say, one of the highlights of watching for me. And I haven't minded watching them. Their highlights definitely the bat. They've scored 300. To open the World Cup twice and lost both games by a fair margin. So, yeah, I mean, if we just highlight their bowling, it's unfortunately atrocious. It's a big couple of weeks. If they can get a couple of results, I'd be pretty happy for them because I thought they had a wee chance at this World Cup to cause a couple of shocks. But yeah, unfortunately, that bowling's just that's not going to do the job.
And it hasn't.
It hasn't, no.
Righto, let's move on to the top 5. We've got 5 teams, genuine chance of making the semis and beyond. 5th place, we've got Pakistan, who have 2 wins and 2 losses. They've beaten the Netherlands, beaten Sri Lanka, and lost to Australia and India pretty convincingly. Don't want to spend too much time on them because they are on tonight, so this all could age pretty terribly. However, their bowling, which was humming for a bit there when they were number 1 team in the world, is just terrible. It's really on pace with Sri Lanka and England.
Let's not go to that level.
Yeah, it's not far off though. I have an inkling. And like
What's
again,
Ralph and Shaheen
this
Afridi paying to take like 7 wickets tonight? Because I'll get on that after you've just
this
said
will be
that.
worse because I've got an inkling that their tournament wheels are about to fall off.
Wow.
This is if I wouldn't rule out Afghanistan tonight, and it feels like they're teetering a wee bit. They are batting well, unless you're Babar Azam. Rizwan looks untouchable. He's been good. Anything on Pakistan before we move on?
Yeah, we won't delve too much into them as you said, but I mean, they feel like they've got the pieces that just aren't bowling well. Like you've compared them to Sri Lanka, but Sri Lanka with Shaheen Shah Afridi and Harris Rolfe would be, competing pretty hard at this World Cup and probably have a very different record. And Pakistan have got them, but for whatever reason, they weirdly just, pick and choose when they're going to play well. So yeah, those two guys back to full strength, and they probably go on a wee run. But without them, as you said, could be banana skin time tonight for them.
Yeah, two things I'll just say quickly is how good's Munter saying we won't go to say too much and then completely going out on a limb and saying they're about to have the wheels fall off. And that might not make the pod come tomorrow. Late edit. But yeah, well, the only last thing I'll say is because they're bowling up top for how good it's been. It's been their real strength. It's just been very unthreatening. But there has been a few whispers of a couple of guys dealing with some issues and sort of getting into the team late. So dare we say there's a bit of something going on from the Indian public or, a bit of food poisoning. I mean, who knows what's going on with that Pakistan side's all I'll say.
I wouldn't rule it out.
I'm not accusing anyone, but...
on to fourth place, and the tables have turned for Australia. Two of the worst losses to India and South Africa had them at 10th. And since then, they got by Sri Lanka, they destroyed Pakistan. All of a sudden, they're at 4th. And boys, their next game is against the Netherlands. Dare I say they may be favourites for that. They get up for that. All of a sudden, the next game after that is against New Zealand. They win that, they go tied with us with wins and losses, just like that. I'm a little nervous, I'm not going to lie, but we'll get into that. Things that are going well for Australia, David Warner and Marsh, they're making big runs. Warner's back. Travis Head is back soon. Zampa is back in form, back-to-back forfeits. And it's no surprise they win both those games. Things I don't like, Steve Smith can't buy a run. Not sure how long that they're going to need him. They're going to need him to actually be a genuine threat. And even though Zampa's doing well, their bowling's still taking some genuine tap from a lot of sides. So although I wouldn't have them as a genuine threat, they are back, boys.
Yeah, and I was sort of on this after those two losses. The boys are pretty ready to write them off, but they've just got guys. Yeah, it is fun. It is fun, but they've just got guys. As you said, Marsh is he's a bison, isn't he? Like, he's just so big, hits it so hard. Warner's back, the king of Pakistan, Pakistan's daddy at World Cups, David Warner. What was that? 400s in a row at World Cups against them. So
it's just great form.
Just great form. A man in form. So yeah, if he's ever out of it again, just hopefully it's a World Cup year and he can play against Pakistan. So Warner's back. They're dangerous. I think similar to Pakistan and then similar to Africa we were talking about. I'm not sure on their sort of middle to lower order. I think South Africa's answering that question a bit recently, and I don't know if Aussie has yet. So that's probably their area of concern still. But with Head to come back, that could be answered. So with those quicks sorted out, they'll be very, very dangerous. And I'm suddenly very nervous about next Saturday, right there with you, Munter.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better than getting some head back in your life. That's for sure. Next Saturday is going to be a rough one. I'm in grave danger of having a massive one for that. I think we said it even after they had two losses. Like we're down on them, and I still am on their chance of actually winning the cup. But I said they'll put 400 on the side. Like their batting's still got guys. It's their bowling that's the concern for me. I mean, Cummings going at eights every game here. Every time I look up, Stark's the same. Hazelwood got it together a bit there, and I'm sure that will come right one game. But I just don't think they're going to have the bowling to be able to threaten the big sides. I mean, unfortunately, they always get up for New Zealand, so that's going to be tough. But yeah, Mitch Marsh is my favourite player to watch at the moment. I just love watching him bat. So yeah. I mean, they're going well, but I don't see them winning this World Cup still.
Yeah, I mean, when they add Travis Head in for Marnus, I'm not too sure what they'll do. If Head will open or Marsh will go where, I don't know, but it's starting to look like a real side. But yeah, that bowling's still a bit of a problem. South Africa, they're in third place, and holy shit, boys, this is a hell of a list of results. They smashed 400 against Sri Lanka. They beat Australia by 134 runs. They smashed 400 against England, then rolled them for 170. And then they couldn't chase 240 against the Netherlands. It's a lot to unpack there. Things I'm liking. I mean, that top six is living up to the hype. It's the best in the business. They are so fucking destructive. Like Klaasen at 5 he's the best player to spin in the world. He just is. He is so fucking dominant. It's not funny. They lose a player like the
Seven's going all right too.
We'll get to that. I mean, to be fair, the fact that Janssen is making runs, there's a bonus. There's been some guys out there that have doubted whether he can do that. You only have to look at how he was bowled against the Netherlands when they were chasing 240 to see my issues. I mean, his heels ended up at square leg when he got bowled, which is not ideal. So yeah, not ideal. But where am I? Bowlers still taking polls. There's not a lot not to like. I mean, I guess the one thing I will say, they did get rolled by the Netherlands. You can't just avoid that. Like, that's not nothing. That's not nothing. Boys, where are you at, South Africa?
Yeah, I mean, they sort of look at this quite a bit in there, like in college football. It's like, if you've got a loss, it's who's your loss against. Like if you lose to a great team, you're sort of in a close one. Your ranking doesn't get affected too much, but yeah, like you just can't go past losing to the Netherlands. It's just going to be a little mark on their side, but so that slip up, it just shows they've got it in them, especially with the bat, as we said. But I think I saw something asking that you might have shared, Munter, that asking if their 4, 5, and 6 are the best ever, which we sort of said we'd never even thought of the best ever 4, 5, 6. Probably not a great indictment of your 1, 2, and 3, but yeah, their top 6, especially that 4, 5, and 6 is hissing at the moment, and sort of probably the opposite of Aussie. Their batting's hissing and their bowlers are taking poles. So if their bowlers stay world class, they'll be a problem. Not too fussed about them getting out of the semis. That's just sort of history, that sort of Africa stuff. But yeah, they might make it there.
Yeah. If I was Bill Simmons, this would be the sort of time where I'd go, yeah, so I've done the research on the best 4, 5, 6s around, and I've got a list of 20 of the best here. Unfortunately, this is Simon Cromarty, and I haven't compiled that list. But I mean, there's a lot to like. I mean, they're one of the few teams when you say, like, who can beat India by scoring 400, they come to mind now. They've proven they can do it. So they're on their right day with their batting lineup. I mean, as we've talked about, it's like quite hard to be impressed by batting these days because you see it so often. You see a team just smoking it, but man, when they get it together, there's sort of nothing better at the moment. So yeah, I think the concern's still the same concern it was at the start, as if you can get through them. I mean, Janssen had a hell of a day, but you're right, Munter, with that dismissal against the Netherlands. It wasn't pretty. So I think that's sort of what teams will still be thinking. If you can deny some of these big hitters some runs, get them to sort of try and hit out and and get through that 4 and 5. I think that's going to be your path to beat them, but they're looking pretty strong at the moment.
I just want to see what happens if they're two or three wickets down that power play. Like we saw New Zealand sort of grind out. They had a good chance of making 300. They should have made 300. Could South Africa do that after be 2 for spit early on? Oh, I'm not too sure. So I guess we'll see. Righto. The last 2 places are obviously New Zealand and India, and the 2 and the 1 for obvious reasons. Let's start with New Zealand because last night's loss was their first of the tournament. It was the closest match India had. However, it's hard not to watch that game back and not see that India were probably in control of that game, mostly. But there's a lot to like still for New Zealand. They're getting runs out of Mitchell, Conway, Ravindra, Latham and Phillips. They have scores under their belts. They've still got Kane to come back. The attack is taking wickets. Santner, Henry, towards the top of the wicket-taking charts. Ferguson's sort of back. I guess the only question mark I've sort of got for this side is the Chapman versus Neesham. Who's a better fit? Last night, New Zealand only scored 50-odd runs in that last 10. They lost 30 for 6 in the last 5 overs when 320 looked possible. Granted, India, who we'll get to, was special with that ball. But would Neesham be a better fit at 7 than Chapman? I like Chapman. If the question is, if you're 5 for spit, who's most likely to get you out of a hole? I would pick Chapman. He's a better bat, there's no doubt. But if you're 5 out for not many, you're probably not winning this cup. Neesham is, he's experienced as they come at finishing an innings, just that job. He's more experienced at playing in India, and he also it gives your attack just another option. Boys, where are you at with the cap so far?
Yeah, I've got them at 1, just contrary to this, and I'll tell you why. We said pretty early on last week that, the team that wins this cup's not beating India twice to do it. So, tick that box. We haven't beat them yet. And I think we've got the formula and we've failed at it. So we now know how to be better next time. I liked it a lot when I saw pre the sort of 6 wicket. Mitchell, Rachin, excellent. Just very, very good. And I think Neesham does need to come in for me as that finisher, because I think that's how we're set up to win these games, is sort of what happened up to 40-ish overs against India, and then we just didn't have that finisher there to get us up to 300. So I think with the history Neesham's got and the experience doing that, he just has to be there, because that's how we're going to win, and that's how we're going to beat India, is by probably getting 300, maybe 310, and then just being a little bit better with the ball than we were. So, yeah, I think we're an adjustment and a little bit of execution away from sort of being right there with India. And we've had their number in knockout games in the past. So I'll go zagging and have the Caps at 1, but only just.
Well, then I'll potentially go the other way and probably say I'm a bit more nervous than most on this New Zealand side. Well, I'm not. There's parts of it I love. I mean, Mitchell's just I just couldn't speak more highly of the guy. I just think he's incredible. I think he just struts out with a level of confidence that I don't think we often see in New Zealand. I've said it before. I think he really feels like when he's going out there, like he's going to score runs, he's going to take over. He's got such a calmness about him that, like, he'll get through the first 10 overs, and you just saw it last night. And I feel like he gave Ravindra a bit of a confidence boost as well once they got going together. I think Ravindra looked a bit shaky early on, and they sort of got through it. Ravindra got dropped, and then they just easily went about their business. That run rate just slowly but surely went up, and then they put us at a hugely strong position to have a real launch. That was obviously the disappointing part. Sometimes that can happen. Unfortunately, you start going for the big swings. New guys come in and they just never get going. Probably take it for granted how good guys are now at just coming out and smoking it, and it doesn't always happen. And then I thought with the ball, we were actually I mean, if we had got Jadeja early, that game was actually all on, and I think that's our path to victory, as you say, is Santner done a real job strangling them. We always seem to against India just when it's falling away, we get a wicket, and we do that really well against most sides. Just when a team's getting it, we just never let a team get too far away from us, and we pull it in and grind it out. And that run out was exceptional. One of the older run outs you'll see, but exceptional stuff. Like, we've got that in us just to pull something out. You think of Dhoni at that World Cup. So, yeah, but the only thing, as I said, that's got me a touch down on the side is our schedule. Like, England isn't proving to be maybe the win we thought it was, but we took care of them, and they could still come right. And we took care of all the minnows, but we're going to have some really big games ahead. And if you suddenly lose to Aussie and you've got to win a couple of these games, that's what worries me. But yeah,
Australia,
I think there's enough.
Australia, South Africa, Pakistan, Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
These next two games, this Australian game is massive. Like, it's huge. I think it locks us in. But if we lose that game, suddenly the game against South Africa, it's just start to get squeaky bum time now.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked about it a lot, but just in the messenger, not on the pod, obviously. It's just, I think people forget how much we limped into the semis last year, last World Cup. And obviously it meant nothing because we made the final and came that close. But we got smoked by England, smoked by Australia, and lost to Pakistan, and sort of really lost our way after starting strong last World Cup as well.
Number one, India. 5 wins out of 5 chases, all relatively comfortable chases also. No one below 8 has batted. Jadeja at 7 has batted once. Did pretty well too. Rohit, top run scorers, basically back-to-back tons. Kohli, I mean. But Rohit's looking pretty good too. He's been absolutely on fire in the power play. He's going nuts. I think he's the second top run scorer or the third. So those two old dogs looking unstoppable. Their bowling attack's the best in the world, just especially in these conditions. They take wickets at the power play. They take wickets in the middle, unless they're bowling to Mitchell and Ravindra, and they are dominant at the death. Bumrah is simply the best paceman in the world, maybe ever. And they're at home. Things I don't like, they've peaked too soon.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Anything else, boys?
Yeah. I mean, I was obviously had my rose-tinted glasses on a moment ago when I had New Zealand at 1. A huge home take, basically. But yeah, I mean, India are the genuine best side in world cricket at the moment, and it's not close. I think the distance between them and let's say Pakistan at 5, the distance between them and us is greater than the distance between us and Pakistan. I truly believe that. As you said, like they've got Bumrah. When Bumrah doesn't take wickets, Shami gets 5. Like, they've got the best attack, the best batters, and that issue that other teams have of going, oh shit, like what happens if we need our 7 and 8? Well, like, they've got Jadeja there who just rattled off 40 after watching India bat 4 times in a row. So yeah, I mean, the gap between them and everyone else just seems to be getting bigger, but the tall poppies that we like to cut down, they've peaked too early, and they'll come crashing back soon enough is the only thing that, only negative I could give them. But if they're at the juggernaut that we think they are, this might not even be the peak, potentially, which is scary to think about.
Yeah. This is like the distance between Beckham being the best looking guy in the world and everyone else. Like, this is the sort of level India. This is where India are at the moment. I mean, let's not even bother highlighting all the good things, because there's as you've all pointed out, there's a million to list. They just bring in Shami last night, and he just whacks off 5 of the best.
Just on Shami before you move on with the rest of your point, I've seen a stat where he's got the second best ODI strike rate ever, and he's on their bench. So that's what we're dealing with. But yeah, please.
We're in a notorious Shami podcast here too.
Yeah.
Mohammed Sami, sorry.
Shami.
Not Sammy, not the Pakistan player.
I was big on him today as well. Just sneaky quick and skidded it nicely. But anyway, yeah.
Chucked it.
I mean, the positives are about 1 million of them. If we get into the negatives, and I will find a couple, or a couple of potentially ways they can lose. I think not batting first. I mean, let someone put them in. Let's see them, set a total. Second one, obviously, as I've said, the way any team can beat India, or the way at least a few teams can. South Africa comes off, Aussie comes off. Some team scores 400 on their day, and they just lose the knockout semi-final, and that's them gone. I think that can genuinely happen. It's obviously a lot less likely to happen to them because their bowling is particularly strong, but I think these days it can happen to anyone. And I think there's just been a couple of times, I think the start of that Pakistan game, a wee bit last night when Mitchell and Ravindra are going, like, you can feel what it's going to be like when that crowd really gets taken out of it. Like, it does feel like there still is a huge amount of pressure on them. Obviously, it's not getting, it's not too much of an issue at the moment. They are rolling teams, but I think when they get into, say, a knockout game and things get tense and that crowd goes out of it and their players feel, I think there still could be a moment where they really do feel that pressure. Outside of that, if things roll the way they are, they're just not going to get touched, I don't think. But I think, there's a couple of paths where they could lose a semi.
Yeah, I would like to see them set the total, because will they put the hammer down and like put a side away and get like that 400 if they get a chance? I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, I'd say that's probably because you can sort of chase anything on your day. So I think that's a good way. And then if you've got a decent score on the board, if you can get 300, 320, Rohit is the big wicket. Like at the moment, he's their heart and soul right now. Obviously, Kohli's getting the love, and rightly so. He's been unbelievable. But what Rohit's been doing at the top is just like he's just sort of taking the wind out of the sails a lot. Like even last night, just that 46 off 40, like they're 60 odd or 70 odd for none after 12. Like it's just that really like is almost like the run rate doesn't become an issue after that. And I think he's kind of, it's almost like a little bit like McCullum in 2015, not as extreme, but he's kind of like sort of getting the ball rolling. And I think if you can sort of get him early, things might start to unravel, but we are splitting hairs a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Smithy said it last night. They got to 70 and took sort of, as you say, Munter, like took that game away from us pretty early without really trying as well. Like with ease, they got to 70 off like 10 or 12.
I guess lastly on this Indian side, they have a chance to be the best World Cup side ever. Like they haven't been touched at all. The only other side I can think of that's more dominant would be that 2007 Australian side.
Yeah.
That just waltzed all the way through. Like I'm trying to think of, it's probably one of those Australian sides, but it wouldn't, what would shock, what's more likely to happen? India to get knocked out in the semis or India to go unbeaten the whole way through?
What's more likely?
Yeah, you put money on one of those things.
Park. I would say more likely to get knocked out in the semis, because I reckon they'll lose to a team that they beat in the final in these pool games potentially. I could see Africa tipping them up just once, just going ballistic. I think they'll have a loss. I think cricket's a bit too even nowadays. Especially with some of the firepower and the sticks that are coming up. So, yeah, I'd say more likely to get knocked out than go undefeated, but I've still got them winning the cup. So,
yeah, like, will I be shocked if they lose the game? I guess probably not, but I'm still going to be quite surprised. If you ask me now what's going to happen, I'll say they'll go undefeated and win this World Cup undefeated.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards that at the moment. Righto. I mean, these are takes, and we are moving on to worst takes. So these all could age poorly. Worst take or receipts is the segment where we get stuck into some poor takes from us and also others on the internet or in the com box. A few nominations this week, fellas. Apologies, I still don't know his last name, but Sanjay, the commentator, the Indian commentator, after the toss before the Netherlands-South Africa game, he was talking to the Scott Edwards, the Netherlands captain, and he said, "You must be happy with your team's batting, passing 200 twice." Not only is that very condescending, but they also only made 205 and 223. It was met with a very bewildered look. The next nomination, the ACC. I've been a big fan of the ACC, but this is where I draw the line. This is where it really, really sort of niggles me here. But they suggested the greatest commentator this country has ever produced, Ian Smith, is becoming an angry old man. Show some fucking respect. That's just not good enough. Like I don't want to sort of talk about them any more than that. But I'll leave it at that. Simon Dool, big fan of Simon Dool. But this whole, like, everyone that struggles to get to the 100 is selfish, is starting to get old really quick. Suggesting that Daryl Mitchell was putting his own personal milestone of 100 ahead of the team's success when he took 10 balls to get through the 90s, right after Ravindra and Latham went out. And he went at a runnable after he made 102. Maybe Dooley, it was just hard to bat. India pretty good. Not everything's an agenda. Lugsy, did you want to touch on that a bit further, or?
Seeing our options in the future to work with the ACC, just flying over my shoulder here. We're gone. I would like to touch on that one probably the most. We don't stand for Smithy slander. I mean, that's just the bottom line here at the TMC. He is the best, and he's still the best. And I don't know where that came from. I don't know who sort of brought that up, and I don't know what they expected people to say back to that. I mean, I just don't think in this country that will get stood for, and I'm glad a few people were saying the same thing. On the Dooley one, I don't think it's unfounded at times. I think it's like anything. You've got to know the situation of the game. I think sometimes that does happen where a guy, gets a bit nervous in that area and takes probably a bit longer than you'd expect. But this wasn't a case of that. Like, Mitchell had dug us out of a huge hole. He doesn't strike me as the guy that, worries about those sort of things as much as he wants the team to win. And as you said, there's wickets falling around him in that situation. You've still got to, you're still facing a very serious attack. I think this is one of Dooley's just things he's got in his head, and he just says it each time. And as I say, I don't think it's always unfounded, but this wasn't the right time for it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, what's the flip side, Dooley? As I said, like, if he gets 95 slogs out after we've just lost 2 wickets, and you're leaving, Chapman to bat with the tail. Like, what's Dooley saying then? Like, what a selfish prick Daryl Mitchell is, like, trying to race to his 100 instead of rebuilding with a new man. Like, it's just it's an on the fence take, isn't it? And he picks out of a barrel which one he's going to side with, no matter what happens. Like, unless you face 5 balls, maybe get a boundary to get through the 90s, you've done wrong by Dooley. So.
Oh, you've
it's a rock and a hard place to keep Dooley happy these days, isn't it?
He's an angry old man.
ACC got the wrong commentator.
Big fan of Dooley.
Jacko, did you have any other nominations?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's Freezing Cold Takes, one of my all-time favourite sort of Facebook likes / follows. And this has just got to be one from England's Barmy Army, pre-weekend. Match day, give the big guns emoji, England flag, 2 big World Cup wins versus South Africa incoming, rugby ball, cricket and ball emoji. That's going to be one of the all-time howlers. If England want to look where they've sort of fallen apart at both World Cups, that image and that tweet right there can sort of be the exact moment. Forget about the batting not going well, forget about the bowling, forget about some questionable reffing. The Barmy Army doesn't put that out. England go 2 from 2 this weekend, and they're in a World Cup final, and their Cricket World Cup is back on track.
Like that's probably the worst. Oh, that and the ACC, they're probably the worst takes for what this segment is. They are the worst takes. They've aged the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, that Barmy Army one has aged horrendously.
Yeah, I just can't wait for the ACC to offer us a deal and then to them look through what we've talked about and they cut that deal. And I'm going to say, look, that was Matt Hunter. You're just going to get rid of him. And I'm Simon, and I don't speak for him.
Except for when you're talking about Smithy. You talk about Smithy, I tell you what, that's where we draw the line.
You bought that on yourself.
Righto, let's finish her up for this episode. Another week of the books. Thanks to Lugsy and Jacko. Thanks to everyone who listened and will watch. Chuck us a like and subscribe if you like what we do. Even a rating review if you feel inclined. The biggest thank you to our Patreons who fund the show. Check out patreon.com/maximumcricket for more content and to support the cause. And we will catch you all next time.
Yeah,
Yeah.